Good morning. Today we are making our video for packet 11. It is due next week, Tuesday on May 5th. On our first page, it says in April, 20% of the customers at Auto World bought blue cars. Of those customers, 15% chose gray interiors. What percent of the customers at Auto World did not choose a blue car with a gray interior? So I look at that and say, okay, this is 100% of all the cars. 20% chose blue cars. Of those 20%, 15% chose the gray interior. So I have 15% of 20% chose that gray interior blue car. And I need to know what's the other percentage. So my first step is to find out what 15% of 20% is. So you need to remind yourself, that word of means what mathematical operation. 15% of 20%. Then you're going to find out what tiny little percent that is of the 100%, and you're going to say, I'm just going to subtract that out of my 100%. On our second page, it says, Tina left her house at 9 a.m. to ride her bike down a very long road at a speed of 12 miles per hour. At 10:30 a.m., her sister Vanessa left the house on her bicycle and tried to catch up to Tina. Vanessa rode at a speed of 20 miles per hour. At what time did Vanessa catch up to Tina? So one is leaving at 9 a.m. So Tina leaves at 10 a.m. She has gone 12 miles. And then at 10:30, Vanessa leaves. So I need to figure out how far has Tina gone in half an hour instead of an hour. Then continue on with those half hours until you get to when they pass. You might have to go down to the 15-minute mark. So think about how we go from an hour of 12 down to a half hour. That's half the time. Figure out half the mileage. And then you might have to break it down to the 15 minutes to find the actual time that Vanessa catches up with Tina. Our next page is our 5-card challenge. I've seen some pretty good 5 cards being used in those equations. Challenge yourself, see if you can come up with a 5-carder. I've seen a few different ones, so make it a challenge. Our pattern page, we are completing the table. So fill in the first 4 figures and then find those patterns and keep those patterns going for the green, blue, and the total blocks. On this page, it says find the area of the entire figure. Keep in mind, when we do length times width for our full figure, that's from here to here. From here to here is the 6, and from here to here is 6. So figure out what the full length is. To find the shaded areas, what I did was I broke this diamond into, because I didn't know what this length was, so I broke it into a triangle. And I said, well, I know what my base is going from here to here, because that's the same. I know what my height is going from here to here, and I know to find the area of a triangle, it's 1/2 the base times the height. So I found one triangle, I timesed it by 2, because there are 2 white triangles. And then I subtracted that from the full. Is that the only way to solve it? No, that's just the way my brain works. You can find other ways to find that shaded area. My way was to find the white area by breaking it into 2 triangles, because those were shapes that I knew the area for, and I knew those lengths. Okay, you can use other ways, and we should get the same answer for that shaded. So what I did was I took the full, I subtracted out the white triangles, and I was left with that shaded. See if you have a different way. Make sure that you get the correct answer. Like I said, my way was to break that diamond into 2 triangles. All right, our next page. I've had a few people get a little confused by this. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, goodness, I accidentally forgot to flip this. We don't have 2 of this page. Our next page is the rectangular prism page. So on the rectangular prism, it says x equals 3. So we need to look at that x of 3, look at what that makes it. So when we look down here, our side says x minus 1. So when we say x equals 3, that doesn't make this side a 3. That means we have to fill in a 3 for the x and figure out what that side length is. So we need to make sure that we draw our net, label it correctly to figure out the surface area, and then we also have to find the volume. Remember that volume is length times width times height. Okay, so make sure you're finding both the volume and the surface area. I'm not sure what we're doing, but it's math class. Just be respectful. Okay, so draw your net and label it correctly, making sure that when you are folding sides up, they fold up to be the same length. So paying attention to that. And finding both the surface area and the volume as your answer. Okay. Then we have this page. Pre-algebra needs to solve 3 of them. Remember, rectangular prism is length times width times height. The cube, length times width times height. Remembering that they're all the same size because it's a cube. So every side needs to be the same to equal that volume. Our triangular prism is length times width times height divided by 2. For the pyramid, it's length times width times height divided by 3. For our, let me see where I put it down. Oh, yeah. For the cylinder, it is, give me 1 second. Here we go. Pi r squared times height. For the cone, it's that pi r squared, and then the height divided by 3. And for our sphere, it is 4/3 pi r cubed. I have had some friends challenge themselves and do all of them. Amazing. That's the way to prepare ourselves and to really challenge ourselves in that math. So you have to do 3, but challenge yourself. See if you can do more of them. On the next page, we know our little Sudoku, placing numbers 1 through 4, going up and down, going across, making sure we don't have any duplicates, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So fill that in. Making our graph, remember, make your bar graph, so turn these tally marks into bars. Make sure that you use correct labeling. So don't just write numbers and write words. Tell me what those words and what those numbers stand for. And don't forget to answer the question. How many total snacks were sold? On our next page, we have our polyomino, slide them over, make them all fit. And remember, if you get it to me by Friday, you can fix mistakes and get it turned back in for next week, Tuesday. Always a good idea to have me check, even if you don't have them all done, have me check the ones that you have done so you know what pages you need to fix mistakes on. Due next week, Tuesday. If you have any questions, make sure you come see me. I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.